$2,400 if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, and railroad benefits, plus a 20% increase that would be lifetime and a step up annually. Meantime, no less than 1, 2, 3 stimulus bills introduced today. All junk. None of them are anything that gives relief to millions of Americans. All they do is give big book deals to the senators introducing them. But the focus remains on Mitch McConnell, who reportedly is having quiet negotiations with Chuck Schumer to get stuff done, and the push is underway, and the belief that this is happening is stimulus in CR. Hashtag CR for stimulus. That is the emergency stimulus relief that will give you a stimulus check, extension of unemployment benefits, rent eviction moratorium, mortgage forbearance, and more, just for 30 days. Then Joe Biden talks about stimulus today. In a major press conference, he talks about what type of stimulus you're supposed to get and when you're supposed to get it, and what about emergency stimulus. Spoiler, it contradicts Nancy Pelosi. Meantime, the viewers of this channel continue to get big money. I'm so excited for you. Going through even the DMs in the last few minutes, 5 more success stories. Escalated benefits, rent, utilities, and EIDL. It's a great Tuesday afternoon. I'm so excited you joined me on this really big blockbuster of a day of great news on Afternoons LALATE. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Afternoons LALATE, and I'm really excited about what's unfolding because suddenly everyone wants to talk about stimulus. The only thing is that they're not particularly talking correctly. Some are talking out of the side of their mouth. We're talking correctly, even though it looks like we may have a denture or retainer on face. The point is that we know exactly the type of stimulus you need, and today we'll be going through the 1, 2, 3 bills, the president's statements, the president-elect statements, Mitch's statements, and our statements. But the big statement that I have to make to start is subscribe to this channel, because despite what they're talking about, viewers, no less than 7 in the last 2 hours, has sent me DMs saying, thank you, I got thousands of dollars because of you in the last 24 hours, and you need to get this money right now. This is money right now, not 5 days from now, not 5 weeks from now, not 5 months from now. And I'm not embellishing these comments. People are saying, you are changing my Christmas. I'm having $5,000, $10,000 in my bank account for me and my wife and my 5 children. Thank you. This is going to make the total difference of how my holiday season is going to be. And we were 1 to 2 days away from being homeless. Thank you. I want you to get that money as well, even if you're homeless. I'm here to help everyone, including you. So please subscribe to this channel. I'm working around the clock. My volunteers are absolutely godsend, 9 of them, who are doing incredible success stories every single day. I want you to subscribe because we will get you money, whether it's rent, utilities, food, or similar, by the minute. Please subscribe. I'll be covering more about that in this video. Also like this video because it helps in the algorithm rankings. We've been doing quite well today, but keep on liking every single video. In this video, I'll be going over the new bills, the president's response, the president-elect's response, Janet Yellen's response, Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi's response, and Chuck Schumer's response, and of course the most important response, mine. Just, I'm sure Sir Loin had a response to this as well, but, he was eating ice cream at the moment, so I couldn't interrupt him. Then I'll be going over really what's going on with that SSI and SSDI, and then I'll be going to the big money you're supposed to be getting right now. CARES Act 1 grants, escalated benefits, and new grants announced within the last few minutes. Houston, congratulations if you're in Houston. There's a $1,200 stimulus check coming to your residence. California, congratulations if you're in Los Angeles County. There's a $25,000 grant being announced today. Everything is breaking. I told you. That's why you stay with me. And let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news across the country is that CARES Act 1 grants, which were money given from the government to the states and then states to give to the cities and counties, is literally down to the last few days. Today is December 1st. And while there is no particular hard and fast deadline, I believe it's around December 15th that they have to use the money or return it, use or lose. And that's why, minutes ago, Houston announced a $1,200 stimulus check grant for its residents. On holidays, LALATE, which went live about a half an hour ago. This is a taped recording, but that was a live recording. I had people asking about Houston. Congratulations, Houston. There's now a stimulus check coming to residents, $1,200. More about that in the Houston Chronicle article that was published on the community page of this channel. Then, California announced a $25,000 business grant program by Governor Gavin Newsom, $25,000. And this includes if you're Uber, Lyft, and things like that. So go get that. That was also put in the community channel, this page. There are grant programs being announced literally every minute. One viewer said New York City announced a rent grant program going live on December 1st. I don't know about the particular details of it. There's literally something happening by the minute. I want you to get this money because it's going to be very quick and gone very quickly as well. More about that in a second. Let's go to what's going on in Congress. Stimulus checks. Boy, 3 bills introduced today. And what is my take on the 3 bills? Hogwash, bollocks, junk, bad fat. I've seen hairdresser. I've seen Nancy Pelosi's hairstyles better than these bills. It's just horrible. What is this junk bills? My take on it: ignore it. You're not going to hear about these bills past the end of today. I'm not going to report on them past the end of today. The bills will never become law. They'll never be introduced. They'll never be voted on. These are a bunch of senators, no disrespect for them. This is actually what they do. These are a bunch of senators who introduce a lot of bills every year, try to get themselves on broadcast news, and then try to get a book deal. And the book deal pays a $500,000 advance, and they get $1 million in revenue every year for these children's books and cookbooks and all this type of stuff. They're not really out there to actually pass a bill. They're there to get themselves on the front of CNBC. And it worked. So a bad bill just surfaced every 10 seconds today. Yes, I covered them on holidays, LA. Yes, I covered them on mornings, LA. I'm not going to cover them anymore. Where is the focus? The continuing resolution. The continuing resolution. And that remains the focus of Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Mitch McConnell. Overnight, Mitch McConnell said the following: the problem I'm having with the Democrats is that they're still doing a everything or nothing proposition. And what I'm trying to do right now in the context of the continuing resolution is give emergency relief, and they don't even want to do that. They just want to do it everything or nothing. What's going on? What is the timeline going on? Let me explain it very simply. The federal government needs to do a budget bill to fund the federal government approximately every 3 months. It's a budget bill. But the official name for the budget bill is called Continuing Resolution. We call it CR because it's easier than saying Continuing Resolution, which is like a whole mouthful. CR. They have to do the CR every 3 months. I've covered 3 CRs already on this channel. In the past, during this pandemic, CRs have had stimulus in them, but just specific emergency stimulus because it's an emergency continuing resolution bill. So there is talks to get emergency stimulus in the current CR bill, which needs to be passed by December 11th, to get you between now and January. It is not to get you to March. It is not to get you to April. It's just emergency. What's the emergency? Stimulus check is the emergency. What's also the emergency? FPUC, UI, PUA expiring in December. Eviction moratorium expiring in December. Mortgage forbearance expiring in December. The basic things to get you between now and January are money, stimulus check, unemployment benefits, and finally, no evictions. Very, very simple. There's nothing else that's an emergency right now. And so the articles claim that Mitch McConnell wants to put this stimulus in the CR. Hashtag CR for stimulus. The hashtag, which I started on Sunday. That's the new push of the Purple Power, and you're doing an incredible job. I'll be sharing more pictures and memes you can use. But take this video and tweet Mitch McConnell and his communications director. Say, please, Mitch, put a stimulus check, unemployment benefits, and eviction moratorium mortgage forbearance in the CR and get it passed. That's all we need. And you can also say, Mitch, use that $800 billion of CARES Act 1 money to repurpose that as a stimulus check. He may or may not do that, but he has said in the last 7 days he would repurpose CARES Act 1 money. He actually wrote a letter with Steve Mnuchin to the Democrats about that. Now, this is what Joe Biden said during a press conference today. In introducing Janet Yellen, his new his Treasury Secretary appointee, he said we need emergency stimulus right now, and then we could do a bigger stimulus bill in January. This is not the first time he said this. He said it in his transition papers. We need several stimulus bills. I just need one right now. This completely 100% contradicts Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, who say we need everything right now. No, this is the problem that Americans are having, is that ultimately even people in the same party can't come to an agreement. The Democrats can't get on point. At this point, Americans sort of want Janet Yellen to sort of push Nancy Pelosi in the corner and say, listen, just get some unemployment out. Guess what Janet Yellen talked about for 35 minutes during her announcement speech? Unemployment assistance. That's all she generally talked about. And of course, stimulus checks is unemployment assistance as well. That's all that she talked about. She didn't talk about all this other excess. And she said, you need that type of relief right now. Joe Biden talked about that. Meantime, the president, Donald Trump, says he wants an emergency stimulus to be done right now. Pete Navarro reportedly has said that the president wants to get a stimulus package passed in December. There's political reasons why the president may want to do that. There's talk the president wants to run again in 4 years, and that he wants to go out on the thing that he's best at, which is economic relief. And he wants to pass it with his name on the bill and get it done. Ultimately, get it out and let's get it done. Amen to anyone that wants to do the right thing. What's important to understand is that today's bills were junk. I'm not going to report on them much anymore. You should ignore them. You shouldn't be sending me tweets and Instagram and pictures. We all saw that they're junk. We got that they're junk. We're moving on. It's sort of like back in July where people would hear something bad from Nancy Pelosi and people would cry for 5 days over it. We're not going to cry over these 3 bad bills. We're going to laugh at them and laugh at the people that wrote these horrible bills and say, to the book publishers, don't give these people a book advance. These are horrible bills. Now, let's turn to $2,400 SSI and SSDI and Social Security and rural benefits. On holidays, LALATE at 12 noon today, which we had a blast. That was absolutely a blast. Went live and about 2,000 people in the room when it was live. And I think it went up to 10,000 people. A lot of you has asked me, when would the SSI money be floated out? That would be a separate standalone bill. It would not slide into the CR. The CR is very concise. Reports say that the appropriations committees want the CR in the Senate to be about 1.9. So there's not enough room to put the SSI and SSDI. Separate bill. This is a Joe Biden bill. It's not even a Nancy Pelosi bill. She has never talked about this. It's a Joe Biden bill. And it would be $200 every month from now to, or from the day in which it passes, all the way up to December 31st of next year for COVID. Then up to a 20% increase one time that would span you lifetime. So if you're making $1,000 a month now, you would get $1,200 a month, and that $1,200 would continue lifetime. But it gets better. Then a new step up annually based upon a new benchmark, which is different than COLA. So if you see price of eggs and milk and gas going up, and you see it more expensive this year than last year, well, that's because things went up in price. And if things went up in price, the indicator of which your benefits are tied to should go up as well. It's not. It's COLA, and it's not moving. And Joe Biden says, enough already. We need to tie it to something that moves, so you get increased benefits. So you would get increased benefits every year based upon if things are more expensive to buy. Amen. This is wonderful. So, and you would get that on top of a stimulus check. So then let's turn to the next item of business. When would a CR get passed? A CR has a deadline. This CR has a deadline of December 11th. It's not done on the last day. It is generally negotiated and reached upon an agreement in terms several days ahead of time. And then it takes no less than 24 hours to get signed by the president and passed by the Senate and the House once it's agreed upon. In this case, it's a little bit contentious, so it'll likely start in the Senate with Mitch, then head to the House with Nancy, in which she's probably going to balk at it or cause problems. And at that point, the threats will kick in. We're going to shut down the federal government. We're not going to give you your check, Nancy Pelosi, to go home and collect employment benefits between December and January. We're going to shut down the federal government because you don't want to give stimulus to Americans that want stimulus. Sound delicious? It is delicious. I haven't eaten that German Stollen yet, but I'll tell you which one's more delicious. And the German Stollen from Holidays LALATE. But boy, this is why this is an incredible strategic move. And you got to hope that Mitch McConnell continues a strategic move, as the news reports claim, and that you continue to push him to do it by tagging him on Twitter. So next, let's turn to those escalated benefits, those CARES Act 1 grants, and that EIDL. First, EIDL. Let me answer some general questions because no one loves answering EIDL questions more than I do. One viewer said, I applied, it says processing. How long should I wait? You know, sometimes they approve them within just a few hours. If it's processing after a day and still says processing, that means that you've accepted, and that means they have not accepted on their side. So call up SBA, ask for tier 2, and ask them to push the processing. Now, what I would recommend you to do is before you call them, make sure you pull your Experian Vantage 3.0 score and sure if you've not done it, because if you've not done it, you've not followed my instructions. Then make sure your Experian Vantage 3.0 score is a 570. Now, here's another trick, which I haven't said in this recent few days. I said it 1,000 times in April and May. There's so many tricks to the idea. The important thing to understand is if you get a credit pull, that means they're ready to approve you. All right, now let's turn to non-lending instruments. CARES Act 1 grants are all free instruments. Free stimulus, free grant money. You don't repay it. It's all yours. It's free. The City of Houston just announced a $1,200 stimulus check item. More about that in the Houston Chronicle. I'm not going to go too much over it. The state of California announced a $25,000 business grant, announced just today, starting today. So you see how things are really moving very quickly. And that's what I want you to understand. There is 3 types of money you're focusing on: rent, utilities, and food. Those are generally what the grants are. People have asked me today on Holidays LA, is there mortgage assistance? There is sometimes. It's hard to get, but it's generally rent, food, and utilities. First, rent. Rent comes from your city hall, your county hall, and your state housing authority. There are some viewers that say things like, there's no rent grants in our entire state. They're gone. Okay, let me explain the answer to that. They may be gone from your city, your county, and your state, but they're available still from your local religious organization, action committee, or community action group. I'm not going to say them on camera, but the volunteers know who they are. And if you've been watching me on live chats, the viewers also know them as well. And so I've had viewers, for example, in Houston before today, where there was no more Houston city grants for rent, but viewers have gotten rent grants in Houston because of something else. And those viewers know the answer to that. So understand that as well. Next, utility grants. Utility grants are everywhere. So for example, a lot of people jumped in from Missouri on the live chat today for Holidays LA and said, anything in Missouri, utility grants everywhere in the state of Missouri. Everywhere in the state of Missouri. In the city of St. Louis, there is a rent grant. But for purposes of utility grants, there is a utility grant in almost every part of the state of Missouri. What you have to understand is that the utility companies are generally privately held. They're generally not held by the cities or counties, and that you have multiple utility companies. And you need to call every single utility company because they're announcing those grants. New York is an example of that as well. People may have difficulty finding rent grants in New York because they went live with a rent grant in July, but may be having a new one today. I heard reports of a new rent grant in New York today. But ultimately, the utility grants have been around all this entire time. Get that money. I had 5, I think, in the last hour success stories for rent and utilities. And they were mostly rent and utilities, and the average amount that I was seeing was about $5,000. So congratulations to those viewers that now have their rent paid during the holidays. Next, let's go to escalated benefits. Escalated benefits is so simple. It's so simple. Get you a 2019 tax return, get it, scan it, and get ready to send it to your unemployment department. I'll have more about the escalated benefits in the video right after this purple. But what I want to say in this recording, very important, is that when you send it, the next day you call them, and the day after that you call them. It's important to understand that when you are doing grants, escalated benefits, or EIDL, if you don't hear a response in 24 hours, you call them. And then the next day you call them. And the day after that, you call them. That's how we do things on this channel. I've been doing it since the very first day, and that's the success of this channel. Push, 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 Purple Power. Meantime, take this video and push with McConnell on social media. Twitter and McConnell's communications director. Hashtag CR for stimulus. Make it very loud and clear. Put stimulus in the CR, stimulus checks, unemployment benefits. Make the stimulus checks as loud and clear as possible. No one wants anything worse than to see a bill come from another group of out-of-touch senators that doesn't have a stimulus check in there. We've had enough of that, and now we're taking control because we're the Purple Power. Coming up in 10 minutes from now is Purple with big developments on your grants, then becoming a Mitch. Big developments on Mitch. And also join me on Evenings LA at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with big developments about your check, followed by Purple Power Live. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay in LA for more.